This is the official history of Millwall Football Club, the story of the first 110 years. From Harry Cripps to Teddy Sheringham, from Barry Kitchener to Ben Thatcher, from Morton's Jam Factory to the New Den, the Lions have a proud record, and this exclusive programme is packed with nostalgia. We'll be taking you back on a magical trip down the ages, reliving the club's greatest achievements, including 1988, when the Lions finally made it to the First Division after 103 years. No one likes us, but we don't care. The Lions have had to endure some difficult moments down the years, but there's always been a special atmosphere at the club, a fact much appreciated by Millwall's players past and present.
The fans, well, you can't say anything about the fans. Fantastic.
Coming up over the next 100 minutes, we'll be savouring the highlights of Millwall's proud history, recounting the great changes that have happened both on and off the pitch. We guarantee a happy ending with another chance to see the Lions' famous giant-killing exploits of 1995, including a superb FA Cup conquest of Arsenal at Highbury. This is where it all began in 1885, Morton's Jam Factory on the Isle of Dogs, on land adjacent to Millwall Docks. The island, as it's more commonly known by the locals, accommodated the club for 25 years at 4 different sites. It was the employees of Morton's who first put the club on the map under the name of Millwall Rovers. Some of these workmen may in fact have been early players. The company's strong Scottish connection explained the selection of a navy blue and white team strip. The colours, of course, have survived the test of time, but sadly all that remains of Millwall's first home ground, once a piece of wasteland close by Morton's and Glengall Road, is a modern housing estate. The Lord Nelson Public House in East Ferry Road was Millwall's second home. Between 1886 and 1890, this was the club's headquarters. With the pitch only 500 yards away, the Nelson was used as changing rooms. It was here that the club won their first trophy, the East End Senior Cup. They won it 3 times, and in 1889, after surviving the threat of closure, the club changed its name to Millwall Athletic. Next stop was the George Hotel. This was how it looked during Millwall's time on the island at the end of the 19th century. The move to the George in 1890, following eviction from the Lord Nelson, lasted 11 years. By now pioneers of the Southern League, they won the title twice, in 1894 and 1895. During their period at the George, Millwall played their matches at the nearby athletic ground on East Ferry Road, land leased from the Millwall Dock Company. A grand conception that was never fully realised, it was nonetheless a venue able to accommodate large crowds, in excess of 20,000 spectators. The biggest gate of 22,000 came in an FA Cup tie against Aston Villa on the turn of the century. Millwall went on to reach the semi-finals. Fans would arrive at games by a variety of transport, by ferry across the water from Deptford to North Greenwich, or more commonly by the Millwall Dock train, described as little more than cattle trucks by one local reporter. The athletic ground was just a short walk from the dock station. Also used by fans travelling from Poplar was a horse-drawn tram. Today the site of the athletic ground is the home of a giant Asda superstore, and the only real landmark that remains is a huge chimney, recognisable in many old photographs. In 1901, eviction by the Dock Company meant Millwall were on the move again, this time to the North Greenwich ground, their third home on the East Ferry Road. By now Athletic had been dropped from the club's name, and it was just plain old Millwall. It was slightly smaller than the athletic ground, but North Greenwich had more seats, and various ground improvements carried out by the club included the building of a new grandstand. What remains today is this area of parkland, and little evidence of the ground that had a capacity of well over 20,000. Sadly, only a handful of old photographs are left to remind us of Millwall's colourful past, of glorious days gone by when the club's real foundations were laid during a quarter of a century on the Isle of Dogs. The early years provided Millwall Football Club with its roots. To follow were 82 seasons at Coldblow Lane that gave the Lions a new identity. Throughout the rest of the programme, we'll be hearing from some of the most outstanding characters who've pulled on the famous Millwall shirt. Players with special memories of life with the Lions. Millwall arrived at the Den in 1910, and this was how it looked on the official opening in October of that year. There are few pictorial records of the early years at Coldblow Lane, but the photographs that remain confirm the ground was well used, from the staging of an international match in which England beat Wales 3-0 before a crowd of around 25,000 to local sports days organised by the club's trainer, Robert Hunter. Millwall's first full-time manager was Herbert Lipsham, a former player and the first of 6 managers who held office by the end of the Second World War. His successor was Robert Hunter, already a popular figure at the club, where he spent more than 20 years as trainer before he became the boss in 1918. Millwall were then still in the Southern League, but 2 years later Hunter's team became founder members of Division 3. 8 years on, Hunter's team won their first Football League honour, when they were promoted as champions of the 3rd Division South. A crushing 5-2 victory at Walsall was the result that just about secured the Lions' success. 12 months earlier, Richard Parker had secured his name in the club's Hall of Fame, with a prolific individual goal-scoring record. 37 goals in the 1926-27 season was a league tally that no Millwall player has been able to match ever since. During the 20s, the Den became a regular venue for the FA Amateur Cup final. In all, Coldblow Lane staged 6 amateur finals, more than any other London club, an arrangement that led to Millwall making a succession of successful signings. Willie Bryant skippered Clapton to 2 amateur finals before joining the Lions. Work commitments meant the attacking centre-half could only play at weekends. Nonetheless, he still became a key member of Millwall's championship-winning side. In 1933, following the death of Robert Hunter, Bill McCracken became the first man from outside the club to take over as manager. The result was relegation in his first season in charge. A couple of years later, in came Charlie Hewitt, and the start of a successful end to the decade, an era that's fondly remembered by former player Reg Smith.
I think it is a club that has been blessed over the years with continuity of players. I think that's why it's never really been a club in the doldrums. No. It's always been a club that people looked at and looked forward to. And I think that is the big reason. That has been a feeling within the club that we're all together.
They played some good football. When people talk about the Millwall crowd, they're worth 2 goals to you. The Bill of years ago was worth 2 goals to you because of the support you've got. I mean, I've been watching football at Highbury and Tottenham and all that. They're all right while they're doing well, but you don't get the support when the towers are down. And Millwall, I mean, I've seen people with 2 or 3 layers of inches of snow while they've been staying with it snowing, still turn up. In those days, they didn't have the covered stands and that sort of thing, and they'd still now come from a long way away. A lot of people have moved out to where, like Johnny Johnson is now, Kent. They still come, but the main thing is the docks being moved out of the regions they were in, the Surrey, Woolwich and all that. But that was the 90% of the Millwall support was dockers.
Oh yeah.
And they were there, and comedians, the wit. I mean, very, weren't they?
Oh yeah.
Satire.
London. The people in London have far more humour than anywhere you go, really. It's really something that goes with London.
I've played against players that have said to me, oh, McLevin is going to finish, I can't stand this noise.
An electrician by trade, Smith played a key role in the historic installation of the Millwall clock.